So you are back in TV. You just starred in your own reality series, The Barnes Bunch. You did season 1, right?
Yes.
And you guys have been picked up for season 2?
So we're actually in conversation about that right now, really from both sides. I did reality TV, I'm almost embarrassed to admit, back in 2010, Basketball Wives. Shaq kind of bullied me into doing Basketball Wives. He told me it would be a way to get our wives off our back. And boy, was it not.
How did that work for you?
Oh, that was nasty. And the crazy part of that show is still going on. So, respect to those women that have kind of made that a career, but it just really kind of showed me the crazy side of reality, but also piqued my interest in, television. And that bar was set pretty low. So I was thinking, as I started doing that, I'm like, maybe this production is something I want to do when I get done playing. And, now look at me. But fast forward to the Barnes Bunch. It wasn't interesting. I was scared because obviously I've been through it once, and it was a terrible depiction of Black culture overall. But unfortunately, what I see is drama like that sells and it entertains people. But that definitely wasn't what I wanted with my actual family coming into this situation. So my fiance's friend, Datari Turner, is best friends and business partners with Jamie Foxx. And Datari hit her, and Jamie had reached out to me. And the first time I just, respectfully declined because of my maybe my PTSD from the first time around. And then like a year later, they hit us up again. And, my girl and I were talking, and they really pitched this family-driven, blended family, Black family, empowerment, love, and all this kind of stuff. So I'm just like, okay, well, if it's this, okay. So we start filming, and it started off that, and then it made a left. So I had to put my foot down and, told these people like, hey, we haven't spent $1 you gave us. You can take this back. You guys are trying to make drama, but this is like my real life family. When you guys cut these cameras off, like, our lives don't stop. Although the camera may stop, we don't stop. So we had to really put our foot down and tell them we're not going the direction they tried to steer us. So that took a little bit of time, but luckily we all came back on the same page and were able to finish out season 1. So it's really up in the air right now. Again, they're having their conversations. We're having a conversation as a family and with my lawyers to decide, is it something that we really want to do? There were some fun parts, but there were also some parts that were like, see, this is why I knew I didn't want to do it. So
right.
We'll sit down at the table, I think, in the next month or so and decide on both parts if we want to move forward. So we did do it. Kids had a blast. And again, there were some fun times, but I also realized that drama sells, and I don't want to throw fake drama. I told them, like, hey, we've been together nearly 8 years. We'll give you some drama. We're going to argue like every other couple does, and we have kids that do crazy things, and we'll give you drama there, but we don't need the fake drama pumped into our life, and that's where I had a problem with it.
Yeah. Did you guys sit down and watch it back together as a family?
So, and that was another issue I had with them. With me kind of being the star role, I was wondering, and I told him, I was like, well, why are you guys putting us up against the NBA playoffs? So our show launched in the middle of the NBA playoffs. And I told them it was a bad idea, but hey, what do I know? The network did what they wanted to do. So actually, my fiance and I would argue because I had to watch playoff games because I probably had to work the next day and report on them. And the show was on. So I probably caught 3 or 4 live shows and had to go back and watch a few other ones. So that was another gripe I had as, if you're trying to get my audience, why would you make them choose between a reality show and basketball? And the crazy part is as soon as the playoffs were over in our last 2 episodes there, those were our 2 highest episodes. So I did know a little bit of what I was talking about. So again, I just think there's some things that need to be worked out order for us to move forward, but it was a tremendous opportunity, and definitely looking forward to seeing what happens with it.
Yeah. Do you think your kids would want to do it again?
Yeah, the kid loved it. The kids loved it, didn't want to stop, and asked when we're going to start again. So all 6 of them, and we have another one coming next week.
Yeah. So when next week it's due?
Yeah, next the 3rd of September. We're going to be induced. So number 7 will be here on the 4th, and
oh my God. Now remind me, how many are whose? What?
So I have identical twins that are from my first marriage.
Mm-hmm.
She has a 13-year-old daughter, a 12-year-old son, and a 10-year-old son from her first marriage. Mm-hmm. We have a 5-year-old together. And then we have the little baby, another son coming that'll be ours. So it'll be my 4th son. I guess all I do is make it sons. All I do is make sons. I wanted a girl bad, but I guess it wasn't in the cards. So it'll be
Oh my gosh.
6 boys and
Another boy. Wow.
all
Okay.
boys. Yeah.
Do you have a name picked out that you're allowed to say?
Austin. Austin is the name. So I kind of stay out of the name pick, and I allow them to do that. So I guess the family voted on Austin. So he'll be Austin Barnes.
Beautiful name. Have you been involved in any of the like pre-birthing stuff? Like, do you have to go to classes, or this is all?
So we haven't, because she's a pro. This is her 5th child she birthed, so we haven't done any classes. But she's mid-40s, so she's high risk. So we're at doctor's appointments once a week. We actually had one today and one tomorrow. So I am, when I'm in town, at the doctor's appointments and asking my questions, and just making sure I prepare myself, because she's 45, you know what I mean? And although the baby's healthy and moving, there's no telling what can happen come birthday. So we're prepared.
At that point, do they want you to do a C-section, or they want you to do it?
No, she's going to have a natural birth, but there's just people we have to have on call and standing by if there's excessive bleeding and all this kind of stuff that can happen. Try to have children at an older age. So we have all the boxes checked, and, leaving it up to God, but we're really excited. I mean, God willing, this will be our 7th baby come next week, and definitely our last, but definitely looking forward to it.
Right. Amazing. Okay. So you're basically going to take off part of September to be able to enjoy this a little bit, right?
I'm going to take about a week to 10 days off. I had to reschedule several things. We have a book coming out through all the smoke that we had to reschedule. We have our live shows that we had to push back. So I am, although my girl tells me, hey, go ahead. I know what that means. That's a setup for an argument down the road. So I know that I cleared about 10 to 14 days after the baby is born to just really be here, get established, help the nanny get established with the new baby, and get on a new schedule. Obviously my workload is going to pick up because, we have 6 kids. So we're both dropping kids off in the morning. So she's not going to be able to do drop off. So we're getting on a new schedule with that. So I'm definitely looking forward to, stepping up my role. I'm a very hands-on dad, but it's going to go to a new level come next week. So we'll see what happens.
The kids must be really exciting too.
They are.
Excited,
Definitely are.
I wanted to bring up something that I was really excited for. I know that you were a consultant on the Donald Sterling saga. How did you feel like that came out?
I thought that it told the story of what happened with Donald Sterling and his mistress and his wife. I thought all of the conversation between the players was unfortunately BS. I was a little disappointed. I was a consultant on the project, but when they first brought me on and they gave me the first 2 scripts, I went crazy, not crazy in a disrespectful way, but just, redlined everything. I'm just like, we don't talk like that. He actually does like him. This is not what happened. And I think they were kind of like, okay, who is this guy? I was a consultant, not a producer. So they just kind of said, hey, there's stuff we have to do for TV to make this go. So I think a lot of the conversations that were had, importantly, the important ones through the players, like when, the situation happened when it first dropped and we're in the room as a team and we're deciding what to do. All that kind of stuff was kind of fabricated, which was a little disappointing to me. Because
meaning they wanted it to seem like the teammates hated him, or
no. I mean, the guys, to be honest with you, we never really thought about him like that. But I think once he said what he said, there were guys that were really hurt and bothered. But, speaking to my black mark, I had seen much worse. I was nearly killed. You know what I mean? So I just thought, hey, this is another crazy owner that isn't the only one that thinks this way, just is the only one that's been caught on tape speaking this way. But I was just talking about the dialogue between us as players and what we should do as a team. Like, I just thought it was really exaggerated and had guys sounded nothing like they sounded. But I think at the end of the day, I mean, the story was told, and it was another crazy racially driven situation that I kind of found myself in the middle of. But it was a crazy time, looking back on that, nearly 10 years and some change later. We wish we would have did more. Maybe we should have sat out. But I think in the moment, the unknown was what was bothering us, because we didn't know, okay, do we sit out 1 game? Do we sit out 2 games? Are these going to count as losses?
Right.
Keep in mind, at that time, we're playing a young Warrior team. So that Clipper team that beat the Warriors that year, after that is when the Warriors went on a run to their dynasty run. So we felt like we had a team that was, at the time, good enough to win a championship. But there was just, you have to be so laser focused once the playoffs come around. And unfortunately, the guy that owned the team and wanted us to win brought the biggest distraction you can ever bring. So it was a mess. Luckily, we made it through the first round. And then we personally felt like the way the refs were calling calls and plays came the second round, that the NBA wanted this whole story to get out of here. So they know the way for the story to die down is to get the team that has the owner that's involved out of the way. So we kind of felt like we got the short end of the stick come second round against OKC. But, looking back on it, it was, a part of NBA history. And, we did what we thought was best time.
Do you have a relationship with Donald Sterling anymore?
I don't. But to be honest with you, I never had a bad one. You know what I mean? I played for the Clippers twice, a combined 5 years. And it was always respectful exchanges between he and I, and actually, had more of kind of a friendship, if you would call it that, with Mrs. Sterling. She was very sweet and polite, and unfortunately done pretty wrong on a public basis. So when that did happen, I did feel bad for her, because she was someone who was a huge fan, very respectful, always very nice to all the players. But Sterling did have just a delusion of, I could see the way he thought the world looked at him. The one thing I will say about that show is I thought they cast it very well for Mr. Sterling, his wife, Doc. Lawrence Fishburne played Doc, and then the girl that played his mistress. I thought those 4 castings right there, they did really well. And I think that chemistry and those conversations, those were great.
Yeah. I will tell you, my friend, Allison, was one of the main casting directors on it. And she would tell me ahead of time. Well, first of all, she wanted me to get V. Stiviano, the mistress, for people that don't know what we're talking about.
Uh-huh.
She wanted me to get a hold of her because they wanted to be able to talk to her. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I stalked her for about a year, and she called me.
Did she?
Yes. And I want to tell you what she said. So, but she says that Donald Sterling's very sick. She says she still speaks to him. She says that he still pays for her life. All very interesting. Gasp. But Allison was telling me how she sat at a table reading that you were there for. And she was, right? Were you ever at a table reading?
I did do a table reading, but I didn't know she was in there. I thought it was the girl that was playing her.
Well, no, not V. Stiviano, my friend Allison, who cast the whole thing.
Okay. Yeah.
So she was very proud of her casting, obviously, but she told me how you were there and how exciting it was that you were there, and she thought she was so excited for the project. So
like I said, I think, obviously being in the space now, there was stuff they had to fill in and pull from different seasons to make the story go. But I thought obviously the main characters, which were the owners and the mistress and Doc, I thought they did a great job with that story. I just thought the stuff between the players obviously was just to get us to the main part. Right.
V gave me a crazy story on the phone, and now I'm trying to remember what it was, but she said that when she finally comes out and speaks, I don't know if anyone wants to hear from her anymore, but that people will be shocked at what the real story is. And I think she was trying to insinuate that Mr. Sterling was in on it the whole time, like when she ended up giving the tape over, and the wife was in on it. And she's like, well, how do you think they got such a big sale of the team and all this crazy stuff? So I don't know. It'd be interesting that if she ever does come out and make a statement, because she seems to think that she is a bombshell for everyone to hear. And this whole thing was fabricated, is what she says.
That'd be interesting. I would be interested to hear that again, because it was a part of my life. So I'd be interested to hear it. So I'm not mad at anybody, man. To do your thing.
Yeah.